Hi guys, welcome back to Wildstyle. This is Angela, and today I'm going to show you my favorite products that I use for interior painting. So the first one is a good quality brush. You want to get, I like the ones that are angled, and then as well if you can find ones that are tapered to where they come together to a point down the center line. So if they're all coming in to a point down the center line. This one is not as good as I'd like. Typically what you want is the contractor kind. Usually they'll be labeled as contractor. I couldn't find any of those the last time I went, so this is the closest I could get, but typically I like them to be a little bit more tapered, but this is better than most. A lot of them are thick and chunky. Instead of coming together, they just go straight down, and it is quite wide at the end. So you want to look for one that's coming together and gets skinnier as you go into the end. That helps you to cut in when you're painting. I do not use tape. I don't tape off my trim. I don't tape off my windows. Because I have a good brush, I could just use a steady hand and then I don't have to tape. Taping takes a lot of time, and I find half the time I feel like it doesn't work well anyway. So I actually find that much faster if I can just hand trim out everything. And if you get a good brush, that makes it a lot easier. So that's the key. Look for the contractor style brushes and then look, and you will have to open them up usually because they have them packaged up. So I will open up the package and I will look at that end to see what the end of that is going to look like. Okay. While I'm painting, if I happen to, because I'm not perfect, if I happen to get a little bit of paint on the trim or on the wall or somewhere I don't want it to be, I'd carry a damp paper towel with me and I'll just immediately wipe that up. So I'm cleaning it as I go. It's not drying there, but that just eases the stress, I guess, of not using tape and being worried about messing it up. So fairly simple. I'm going to show you that when I get to painting here in a little bit. One of my favorite tools for cleaning out the brush is this one. This has these pointed spiky things. And so as you're running your brush underwater, I don't know what you'd call them, pointed spiky things, you stick them in and you kind of just brush it out, almost like a hairbrush that you're doing. You can also wiggle it around in there a little bit. It just helps get the paint out of that brush much, much faster. Because the brushes are fairly expensive, I rinse mine out and reuse them. And so that's a great tool to help with that. It just speeds up cleaning them out. The thing you really want to make sure is this line about right here seems to be where all that paint gunks up as you're painting over time. It starts to dry out and it gets real gunked up here. You can see there's just some flecks there. That's because that's the hardest spot to clean out, because that brush does start to dry out and that's where that piles up in there. And this really helps you get up in there and get that gunked out. I'll also just hold in between my thumb and forefinger the very tip of the brush and then wiggle it back and forth, squish it down a little, and that can help get some of the paint out of that section too, because that's what ruins your paintbrushes the quickest, is if you leave any of that paint up there and it dries out, and that makes your brush so it's not so flexible. So this brush I've used several times. Every time I go to the store, I will look and see if they have a better brush and I'll grab one if they do. But I like it typically to be, this might be a 2-inch, about 2-inch width here is about what I like for brush. This one's a Purdy brand. There are definitely qualities of brushes. So you get what you pay for in a brush. So I do typically go for the better brush, because where I'm cutting in and not using the tape, I do need to make sure that I can do a good job with my cutting in. I also like this. They now make these paintbrush covers. And so you stick your paintbrush full of paint into the cover and then close it up. And that keeps it wet and moist in there. And it says up to 30 days on there. I think we're dry enough in Wyoming that's probably going to dry out sooner than that. But I have left it for 2 or 3 days and it still does fine. So, but that just makes it so I don't have to clean out my brush every single night, every single time I'm done using it. I just clean it out once at the end of a project, and that makes it easier. Okay. Let's see. So always got to have stir sticks, paint can openers. This is one of my favorite pails. It comes with an interior liner that you can pull out and wash. And then it also has a handle, which is nice if you're up on a ladder or something. It's heavy enough that it doesn't get knocked over if I bump it, because I have bumped some of the smaller, lighter varieties of these and had them knock over and spill out all my paint more than once. So I like this one. It also has, you can't see it, but there's a magnetic spot right here, and that magnets to your paintbrush. And so instead of dunking your whole paintbrush in your pot of paint when you're taking a break, you can just magnet it to the side, go move your ladder, do what you need to do, and then that way your paintbrush is not getting soaked full of paint. So most of the time, this is a great tool for that. Okay, so for the paint can, on the edge of this cleaning tool, it has little grooves, and that is perfect to use. It fits, I don't know if it will with the lid on, but without the lid, it fits perfectly in the grooves around the paint can. So you can kind of just quickly clean that out so that then your lid goes on better. I also use it on this thing because it fits in there too. You just have to be careful with this that you don't poke these into this piece, which I have done before too, but helps kind of clean out those grooves in there. But this is my next favorite product. It might be my most favorite product because one of my things I do not like to do is pour out the paint can because then I feel like it dribbles all down the side and it makes a huge mess. So this is a lid that just pops on top of the paint can, and you snap it down in place, and then you open up. It's got a little air hole on the backside, so you open that up, and that kind of regulates the pressure. Then when you're ready to pour, you open this up, and I'll take just a little piece of my, because I do have usually painter's tape with my stuff, and I'll just tape that open while I'm pouring. And then you pour out your paint using the little spout, and that keeps it nice and clean. So you're not making a huge mess all over the side of the can. It's really easy to clean up. And then I will just pop that back down when I'm done pouring, and that back down. And then that keeps my paint moist and wet in there. It has a lid, everything's sealed off, and I will leave this lid on the paint can until I'm done with it, with my current project. So it'll be several days and it's fine. And it's so handy to use. And then when I need to do my project again or pour more paint, I can just open that back up and pour some more. So definitely a tool to get if you've seen these. This is Sureline brand, but they're very helpful. There are some paint cans that are not traditionally sized up top, so you do have to be careful if you're not getting the regular traditional size paint cans, and your lid may not fit. So just watch that carefully, make sure that what you have is compatible, but most paint cans, it will fit. Okay, and last but not least, you guys have probably seen these. These are, if you're going to roller, so I use my little brush to do the trimming and the edges, and then I use the roller for the big main parts everywhere else. And this is nice because it has, this is again also a Sureline brand, but whatever you find is fine. But it has a single button that you push, and that extends it. And it goes, I don't even know how tall, but probably 6 feet or so, several feet anyway. Nice and tall. So I can do clear up to a normal, our ceilings in here are probably 10 feet, and I can go clear up to the 10-foot ceiling with this. Once I get to our vaulted ceilings, I will have to use a ladder, but I don't have to go nearly as high up on the ladder when I have this. And it's just nice because I can go out and in very easily and quickly with the push of a button. And I'm not trying to screw on and off a long stick just to go refill my paint or to take a break. I can just squish it back down and it's good to go. So I think that's it. Those are my favorite paint products. If you want to hang with us, I'm going to do some painting here soon, so I'll bring you guys along for that. But thanks for watching. Let me know if you have any paint products that you like I can try out. Otherwise, have a great day, and we'll see you in the next one.